Here in downtown Spokane, Big Sky Football Media Days rolling along. We get time to catch up with Bobby Hauck, who's been an important guy, I think, the last hour or so, Coach. How's it been different? Year number 2 for you. It was kind of the honeymoon stage, so to speak, last year coming back, but what's it like in Spokane in year 2?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, a year ago, no one asked me about Dante Olson, so he's come from a position of relative obscurity into some more notoriety. Even though last year I thought he was probably the best player on our team, nobody asked one question about him. So it's been fun to talk about Dante. It's been fun to talk about Dalton and our team, and just about where I think the season's going to be. So I'm excited about it.
It seems the GSA Tour again. We wrap up last season. Now you're starting to look forward. What are some of the things that do excite you most, Coach? About there's a lot of different hats that you had to wear last year to try and get this thing back to where you want it this year, a little bit different.
Well, certainly more of the pieces are in place. It's really about how far along are we. And I think the thing that excites me most about the upcoming season is having done this for a few years now, usually going into a season, I have a pretty good handle on where it's going to be. I mean, even last year, I kind of had some real thoughts that kind of in retrospect were accurate going into the season, and in past years have thought we're going to be pretty good. And this year, I'm excited most about it because I have no idea how it's going to go this year. And I mean, I have hopes just like we all do, but I don't have a real good sense on where it's going to go this year.
I have learned now that preseason polls where you feel about those, but you guys pick 4th and 5th respectively in the others. So your thoughts maybe just on the rest of the league, Coach, maybe more than where you stand, but just kind of how the poll came out.
Yeah, it's funny. I had not looked at it until somebody brought it up. That's how important the preseason. Our deal is about let's be at the top of that thing in November at the end of the year. And certainly we don't have a championship to our name since 2009, so we need to at some point fix that. The other thing I would say is I like our schedule, even though it's shaping up to be pretty demanding according to the preseason polls, but everybody needs to play everybody. I mean, it's hard to even crown a conference champion when everybody doesn't play everybody. So I hope that will get fixed at some point in the near future. I think everyone is in agreement that something needs to be done in that regard. I don't have the answer to what that exactly is, but it needs to get fixed.
Grizzlies playing all 4 playoff teams from last year in the Big Sky Conference. Dante Olson, recognized, as you mentioned, defensive MVP. What more can you say just about his leadership on and off the field, Coach? Because I think the off the field part maybe goes overlooked sometimes of how he leads your squad.
Well, you know, we have Dante and Dalton Sneed with us here at this function, and I really admire both of those young men because they carry themselves well off the field. They take care of business in the classroom, and they're great football players. They're great leaders. They're just outstanding young men, and it's fun to be there and have them representing our state and our university here because they do everything right.
A couple of other players recognized for the Grizzlies on the all-conference teams. Let's focus on your skill position players, Coach, because that should be a position of strength, you would think, with Dalton Sneed having so many weapons. Maybe just an offensive preview as a whole. We'll have plenty of these throughout the next month or so, but just where you feel about where the offense is at with so many good skill position guys.
Well, you know, as I've mentioned, we'll go as far as our offensive line lets us, and we played a bunch of young men last year that really probably should have been in the weight room for 2 more years before they ever stepped foot on the field. But that's where they were. I admire them for their stick-to-itiveness and their willingness to try to improve. And so we need to improve up front, and how far we improve up front will probably dictate to a degree how many wins we get. With that being said, if those guys go play well, I think we have dynamic players at our skill positions and our tight ends, and sky's the limit there on that side of the ball if we can protect and move some people around.
Other side, defensively, a lot of bright spots. Dante Olson leading the way. The front 4 should be impressive as well. But what gets you more excited about that side of the ball when you look forward at the defense?
Well, again, it goes back to the front. To a degree, they're pretty young, but there's some dynamic ability there, and the ability to get off blocks and track people down or get to the quarterback are going to dictate our success on that side of the ball, because I think we can tackle well at linebacker and in the secondary, and I think we have guys that cover and play the ball pretty well down the field. So we'll see. I know that the effort level will be there, the toughness will be there, the tackling will be there. So it really means when a play comes to you, you got to make it, and if you do, we've got a chance to be pretty good on defense.
Just under 3 weeks till fall camp, just under 50 days till the opener. What's the schedule like for you guys? The areas of focus before you finally kick it off?
personally, I got 10 days of vacation, then it's on. So I'm excited. Our guys have 2 more weeks of workouts and practice, and then they'll be off for 10 days before we start. So coaches will go back, are out right now. Players are working. Then the players will get out for a little break, and the coaches will be back at work. But we're ready to go. We have everything set in place before the end of June, and so we're all in the starting blocks and ready for the gun to go off.
Grizzly football ramping up the excitement. We will talk with Coach Hauck plenty more in the next month.